السلام عليكم. مرحبا مجددا، معكم الأستاذ منصوري خالد في هذا الفيديو الثاني Content Video. Welcome again to this online course offered by the University of Algiers 1 Architecture Department. This course is a part of a series of lessons that fall within the teaching of the Design Studio subject for architecture students, presented to you by me, Dr. Mansouri Khaled. The course is structured in three major chapters, starting from understanding the site, landscape and slope sites, and progressing towards applying site integration strategies in real architectural context to conducting site analysis method and approach in the third chapter. Understanding the site is a fundamental part of the architectural design process. Throughout history, vernacular architecture has often emerged directly from the site. However, Greek and Roman architecture leaned more toward order and style rather than site. The modernist movement, with figures like Le Corbusier, has created iconic projects with universal ideas rather than context. However, architects like Frank Lloyd Wright offered more site-sensitive alternatives. By the 1960s, the importance of the context re-emerged in architecture. Today, the site is once again central to architectural conception. The first chapter introduces the concept of site, which refer to the specific location where a building, structure, or project is situated. It is not just the physical area, but also all the environmental, cultural, historical, and social context that influence the design and construction. In relation to the site, the landscape, it is defined as a large area of land, a set of surface entities, an objective of artistic representation, the result of the actions of men adapting to their natural environment, a practice, a culture, a memory, etc. So, we can identify site topography and relief using topographic maps. It is a tool that helps identify the three-dimensional shapes of a site in its natural state. It is produced at a precise scale. So, in order to draw a site or a given terrain profile, we need to learn the different steps. As you can see, here are the major steps to make or draw a site profile from a given map. These steps will be detailed and practiced during this course through different application, examples, and exercises. Here are some examples of drawing terrain profiles from the topographic maps using the previous illustrated method. You will find and practice these cases during the course self-evaluated and peer-reviewed assignments. A slope is the measurement of a terrain steepness on a surface at any given point. Also, it is the rise or fall of land surface. Therefore, we can distinguish two types of slopes, rising slopes and falling slopes. The slope generally has two types, rising slopes and falling slopes. However, slope sites has different parts that differentiate with the position and the steepness level, such as the plateau, the summit, the hill, the ridge line, the escarpment, etc., as shown in the figure. The second chapter introduces the concept of site integration, which is in general defined as a harmonious relationship between a construction and its host sites and the landscape. We can distinguish two types of integration: perfect integration into the landscape or a construct enhancing the site. Integrating a construction into an even or a slope site follows four major techniques. 1. Cut and fill to create a leveled surface. 2. Insertion into the ground by creating a lower level beneath the ground. 3. Creating multiple platforms by cutting into the land and building retaining walls. 4. Rising the building from the site by using pillars, as you can see here in the figures. There are different possibilities for inserting a building into a slope based on the land and soil treatment. We can distinguish three types: cut into the ground, level the terrain, preserve the soil, and raise the building. Based on the contact with the ground, we can distinguish three types: touch to the ground, land on the ground, and buried in the ground. We can distinguish three major types of a building positioning relative to the slope. We have parallel to the contour lines with the slope, perpendicular to the contour line against the slope, and or a combined position of the two. We can notice also three major positions with the surface, with an overlooked at the same level, a thrown above the surface, and dive under below the surface. Integrating a building in a site means interaction with the pre-existing in the site. Therefore, to be integrated, there are different possibilities, like to work with the site, to inspire from the site, to be integrated in the site, or a contrast with the site. Here are some of the world's famous projects from two famous architects of the modern movement: the Fallen Water House by Frank Lloyd Wright and the Douglas House by Richard Mayer. Chapter 3. The final chapter introduces site analysis as part of understanding the site for an optimum integration. So, site analysis is an essential step in the process of the architectural design. It is a finding the dialogue of the project with the factors, with the intention to integrate a project into the surrounding. So, it aims generally to identify the main characters of the site and identify the strengths, the challenges of the site at all levels. Site analysis follow three major steps. First, read the site by making analysis in the first instance. Second, understand the site in the second instance, understanding issues and using the knowledge bases. And the third and the final step is to make interpretation by proposing solution based on your reading and understanding of the site. Site analysis uses two types of studies to gather the necessary data and to understand the site more profoundly. First, sensitive study with qualitative data by observation and senses of circulation, mobility flow, function, use, climate data, etc. The second is static data or static study with quantitative data, using statistic graphs to study the limits, urban composition, architectural and physical and spatial data, etc. In the end of this course, the learner will be able to conduct a deep site analysis in a real given case studies, as shown here in the examples, applying all the learned materials and techniques of reading the topography, integrating in the site, designing with the environment, and conducting deep site analysis. So, this was an overview of the course content. To access all the materials, the full course is available now at edX and Moodle. Join us. Thank you.